Good afternoon. I'm Professor Ryan from the Nott-Nilk Institute of Detection Avoidance. I'm happy to present to this afternoon a briefing on our 35-year clandestine study of Fred Laughlin as our test subject. This briefing is classified BBR, burn before reading. We have been working on developing a formula for success. The formula that we have come up with is quite unintuitive. It is that we are going to minimize the sum of detections throughout a professional career. And we believe that this is based on solid evidence. The evidence I'm going to brief you on today involves 4 case studies starting as early as 1963 with Mr. Laughlin. The first study was involving Fred and his girlfriend, Marilee. Fred was very much desirous of seeing Marilee in New York and Queens, where she was living at the time. Fred appropriated, or should we say misappropriated, a Jeep, a military vehicle belonging to the U.S. government, traveled to Queens, saw Marilee, was able to avoid a police detection, and therefore was successful in that detection avoidance. The second case study took place in the same year, again with Marilee, where Marilee and Fred wanted to get together before the Corps of Cadets traveled to Penn State for the football game. So, in conclusion, I am happy to present to you our final results, and that is that success is dependent upon a very complicated formula. It's dependent upon maximizing your opportunities to see Marilee, maximizing your opportunity to spend time with your 2 sons, Reed and Ryan, maximizing your opportunity to spend time with your 2 daughters-in-law, Kathy and Heather, spending time with your nth number of friends, spending time with your Cross Creeker friends, and spending time with your Price Waterhouse team, and of course now, and dominating all of the computation, is spending time with the new grandson, Jacob. We must of course then subtract the avoidance of the 2 police officers, the tactical officer, and of course this whole formula must be adjusted by the inverse of Fred's golf handicap. I'm sure at this point there must not be any questions about how this study was conducted. Thank you.
You know what? I've been thinking a lot lately about big people. I've been watching them, and I think I have them all figured out. They like to wear cool clothes, for one thing. Take my Pap-Pap. My Pap-Pap loves uniforms. He's been in uniform for years. From the time he was a Boy Scout, to playing baseball or soccer, to running track, or serving in the United States Army. Of course, when he got to Price Waterhouse, he had to wear a different uniform. I know, that's a pretty boring uniform. But then he became a partner, and he got to wear whatever he wanted. But lately, he started wearing a new uniform. I do like this hat. Women love a man in uniform, you know? You think that's why my Pap-Pap went to West Point?
Fred and I are West Point classmates of the class of 1965. And he and I played rugby together for 3 years. There are a couple of rugby incidents that I dare not recount. Fred, on the surface, was a dedicated, competitive, professional, serious, I would say very serious. But underneath the surface, there was and there still is a rather devilish sense of humor. Thank you, Fred, for your thoughtfulness, and I know everyone in this audience would say the same.
I think it was the military that helped him become the great leader he is today. He's particularly good at helping people with their careers.
And he's really been my mentor the whole time I've been in Price Waterhouse. He hasn't been my technical advisor, but he's taught me a lot about other things, about how to deal with clients, about how to deal with the staff, about how to manage engagements, how to give presentations, and really he's been my advisor throughout my career.
I constantly get that feeling that he's as interested in my professional growth as he is in his.
Fred's contribution to the Gateway Group, the number one that I can think of is the people. is developing people, and he has been innovative, and he has been a role model, and he has been committed to developing our people.
I think as you come into this organization, you know that we are characterized by the way that we care about our people, and I think that comes from Fred, very, very much so.
You know, since he's a military man, you think he'd be real hard to work for. That's not what I've heard.
You hear a lot of people talk about Fred's human side, the way he deals with people, the way he mentors people, whatever. That spreads. You know how they say, people take their cues from the top? You can tell that there's someone like Fred, or what kind of qualities are in Fred, by what filters down through all the other partners and the managers on down to the staff.
There's great comfort in working with someone with such strong leadership feelings and capabilities.
Fred's always just tossed me these really general projects. I want to do such and such, Gene, just go develop it. And one of his key phrases is, go work your magic on this. And it took me a while until I realized that he really meant that he was fine with people just going off, conjuring up these, what you might think would be crazy ideas, coming back, and you know that you have his attention when you get the twinkle in his eye.
He's always so open to anything that's new and thinking out of the box.
So if anything, Fred represents a guy who knows how to let people do what they do best.
For 25 years, he has done as much or more than any individual in the world of Price Waterhouse to contribute to the success of OGS, its growth, and most importantly, to making it a very special place where people care about their work and about each other and have a good time.
People sure do like him. But then again, what's there not to like? People he works with, people he coaches. A lot of people have gotten to know and appreciate him over the years.
Some people might not know this, but Fred's son actually works for the Washington Wizards. And I think it's very appropriate because Fred is somewhat of a wizard himself. He can magically transform himself into characters from the movies to give impact at our staff meetings. He makes time expand so that in addition to running the Gateway office, he also has time with his family. And he magically makes 1,000 people work in space for 400.
Fred, I think the secret of his success is he just has a lot of dumb luck. You know, first off, just the fact that he got hit by lightning and survived, what incredible luck. But most people don't know, he almost didn't make it a week at Price Waterhouse. His first week on the job, he was a manager, and he had a simple task to go over to a law firm, pick up some confidential material. It had the salary of all the partners in the law firm on there. And on his way back from the law firm, he had one of those briefcases that zip all the way around. I guess he hadn't zipped it all the way because all this information fell out of his briefcase on the way back to the office. So he gets back to the office, he doesn't see it, he's frantic, he retraces his step, he can't find it, and he has to go tell the partner he's lost this piece of paper that's the name of the law firm, the partners all listed in their compensation somewhere on the streets of Washington. Well, this is his dumb luck. Somebody picked it up, and it happened to be an accountant, and he contacts Price Waterhouse, and in the end, nothing happened out of it, but Fred very easily could have just been here 3-4 days and then gone.
But during those travels with Fred, one of the things I always noticed about Fred is he really enjoyed trying the local beers.
You know, Fred, when he gets an idea in his, in his mind about something, there's no stopping him, and he can be pretty, I don't know, ruthless is probably too strong a word, but maybe stubborn. We attended a rehearsal at the Ellington School of the Performing Arts this past December in preparation for the all-hands meeting. And I'll never forget how great it was to have Fred walk into the gymnasium where the children were practicing and have him just walk up to those kids and just extend his hand and smile and say, "Hey, I'm Fred Laughlin. I'm the guy that you've been singing about." And you could just see this spark of recognition in these students' eyes, and it all just started to come to life.
When I first joined OGS, I had never met Fred in person, although I talked to him on the phone. And in the first week, I had gone to print something, gone to pick it up at the printer. There's this young redheaded guy standing at the printer. He introduces himself to me as Fred, and I never made the mental connection that Fred was Fred Laughlin, like in charge of MS&E. So the first thing I ask him as we're standing there at the printer waiting for things to print out is, "So Fred, where do you sit?" He's like, I sit in that office across from Susan Wilhelm, you know, the big one."
But you know what I like best about my Pap? He's memorized the entire Elmo-Palooza CD. He knows the 5 Jive by heart, and he sings it to me all the time.
Are you ready, boys? Yeah!
Well, that was exhausting, but I sure do like my Pap. It's nice to have a guy I can look up to. Of course, at my age, I look up to everybody. But my grandpa's special. Everyone looks up to him.
It has been and is a pleasure to work with you, Fred.
Fred and I play a lot of golf together, and my advice to Fred is to keep your head down and your left arm straight. You'll do all right.
I love him.